Wonderman is different from the other Marvel shows, and honestly, it's refreshing. Wonderman is so refreshing compared to the other Marvel shows. Most of the shows have a lot going on and a lot of superpowers and fighting, and this show doesn't have all that. But that's what makes it special. It's much more grounded, there's less going on, and it takes a much more simple approach, which is so refreshing. And honestly, that's what makes this show so good. This show is not about a superhero beating a villain or even an origin story of a hero, even though we kind of see the origin story of Wonder Man. That's not the focus of this show. This show focuses on two characters in their relationship, their ambitions, their struggles, their insecurities, and their faults. This is honestly one of the better relationships between two characters I've seen in any media in a while. The only other one I can think of in recent times is The Long Walk, between just two people, not necessarily group. They did that really well. I liked those two characters. This show is labeled as a mini-series. Why? I don't know. I'm guessing the episodes are not an hour long, so that's why it's a mini-series. But I don't think every show needs to have a long runtime for episodes. They really don't. Not every episode needs to be over an hour long. You can make it work with 30 minutes, and 30 minutes can be really good, which is something I enjoyed about Wonder Man, is the shorter time. And I think that is deliberate to the style they were going for. I love the title cards for the episodes. It's shot with basic font in a 80s, 90s TV show look, where it's like a car, boom, pop up, and it gives you that vibe. Like, I'm vibing to this. That is such a nice touch as they try to really lean into like this Hollywood, almost mixing in a little bit of 80s, 90s nostalgic vibe into it. The overall story itself is plain and really predictable, but that almost seems deliberate to me. Like, they give a comforting scene before story where it's like you already know what's gonna happen most likely, but it gives that feeling of that 80s, 90s show or movie where they really tried to harness into that feeling, and I feel like the story plot went along with that. But the real focus is not the story at all. It's the relationship, struggles, ambitions, etc. I may be reading too much into this and giving them bonus points for having a basic story, but hey, it seems to work, so they can really lean into the short time, 80s, 90s vibes, Hollywood, and really dive into the characters' ambitions and their passion for art. The acting elements of this show were really cool. I really liked how they talked about acting.
Acting is the sum of everything you've experienced. The joy, sadness, loss, heartbreak.
Especially Trevor. Whenever someone's like, oh, it's just acting, blah, blah, it's just a job. And Trevor's like, no, it's art. There's more to it. It's not just a job. Those were hitting home as an actor myself. In short films, my own short films, have not acted in anything else. Well, a few plays back in the day when I was a little jit. Hey, Marvel, if you need an actor, or Netflix, if you need a psychopath, I got you. There were almost no superpowers in the show until the very end. And besides, obviously, the few little burst outs. With the burst outs, he was doing damage for sure. But once he got his powers under control, at the end I was like, okay, how powerful is this dude? Because he seems to be really strong. Like, really strong. Like, rival some of the stronger other Marvel superheroes. But we haven't really seen him use his powers much, and we have not seen him fight at all. So I don't really know the scale to it. I think the comics have him as a pretty strong hero. Marvel just be this show and then last year releasing some like 2 really powerful heroes or characters in this century, and then Wonderman if he ends up being really powerful. Dang, Marvel, you stacking out all these characters. I remember when Thor couldn't be touched. Now it's a whole mix on top. Overall, this show was very refreshing. It was so refreshing. It was such a good watch. And I love that the angle they took with it. And that the powers and superhero stuff were not the focus, but just the background on why, or give them a reason to tell this story. This is honestly one of my favorite Marvel shows. Probably top 3. Now it is time to give this show a rating. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the show. I loved the vibe that they went with. To me, I'm overplaying the vibe in my head just by little elements. They don't carry it through the whole episodes. But it's still really refreshing and a fun little watch. Alrighty, that was my review of the show Wonderman. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I'll see you next time. Have a good one.